What is up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry and this is Your Own Adventure, a cycling network that covers all sorts of fun activities from outdoor adventures to riding road bikes to mountain bikes to surfing, everything in between and anything I could think of that might fit into this world. So today we're going to be talking about the Trek Madone that you see behind me. It is new bike day, so that's what this video is going to cover. I shot a couple of videos already that I'm not going to upload because I started rambling. I just want to focus on the Trek Madone itself and talk about it because I haven't seen too many videos on it or any information on it. So let's get started and I'll share my thoughts and my story of where this bike came from. So this frame here is my Specialized Allez. It's from about 2006. I can't really track it down. This is the Allez A1 Max, so if anybody's watching that's in the cycling world, please let me know when it was from. It was a blue color. I'll put the original color, but I wanted to upgrade it and update it a bit to make it look a little bit more modern. The graphics on it weren't as fun, but it's still a really light bike and just a fun everyday bike. So I'm going to be building a nice little, everyday bike and probably end up selling it, but I'll always remember it. Maybe I'll keep it because it was my first road bike. So apparently this bike retailed around $1,400, and that's kind of like budget level, entry level cycling for somebody who's really serious about it. So if you're like bottom of the floor cyclist like I was whenever I purchased my Specialized Allez, I wouldn't really be interested in buying a bike for $1,300 because in my mind, $1,300 is like a ton of money for a bike. But as you mature as a cyclist and as you learn more about the market and the value in things, then you realize that that's actually pretty low price for a bike. And well, I think that this is a lot of bike for that price. Maybe that's why they actually stopped making it. I'm not really sure, just speculating, but $1,400 for this bike, and it's still, it holds up really strong in 2019. I think it looks very modern, and it's got like an aero framing. It's like HVF or something that's supposed to copy the higher end Madones of that time. It's supposed to be aero, and it does feel a lot faster, and that's kind of why I got it. I'll tell you my results on a time trial for 10 miles in a minute at the end of the video, but I want to talk more about this bike. I got it secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. It was a little bit scary and a little bit iffy for me to go and buy this bike because it was only $400, so in my mind, $400 for this bike is a pretty good deal, especially in my market, because newer bikes in my market go for around $800. And what I mean by newer, I mean like more modern bikes, like anything after 2010. Anything after like 2013 is going for like $800 or more in my market. If it's a good bike, if it's like a Trek, or if it's a Scott, or if it's a Specialized. Most of those bikes that are nice entry-level road bikes, they're still going for a pretty good price. So $400 on this bike, it kind of had me wondering, and the pictures kind of made me realize that there was something weird about it. So this bike was built, it wasn't a stock Madone 2.3 from what I could tell. The seller was not a road cyclist at all, and it didn't look like he belonged on a bike at all. So whenever he pulled out this bike and it was that person, it was kind of shocking kind of looked like somebody from the Addams Family. No disrespect, but I was kind of concerned from that. Also, I was kind of like, oh, this is probably going to be a good deal, because if he hasn't ridden it, then it's probably in good shape, which it was, but it was pieced together. It's not the Trek Madone 2.3 from Trek. So what I mean by that is it doesn't have the factory setup. It's missing like 105 components on it in specific places, like the brakes, for instance, are not 105, and they're not even Shimano from what I could tell. They're just like Amazon basics caliper brakes that somebody probably put on there because they built this bike and they weren't riding it seriously, but they probably realized the value in it, so they wanted to put more money into it, whether the brakes are worth that or not. But yeah, it has unbranded brakes. It did have an unbranded seat post on it. It was carbon. I didn't really trust it, so I went ahead and switched out my old seat post that was a Bontrager carbon post. And then it actually had a pretty nice saddle on it, as far as like an anatomic saddle, but I'm not really trying to live that life. It was all like curvy and weird, so I decided to take it off. It's probably a pretty expensive saddle, so I might resell it, but I just don't like it because it's not aero, not at all. But yeah, so the biggest thing that I noticed on this bike was the fact that it didn't have a 10-speed drivetrain, so that threw me for a ringer like immediately. And I still knew the value of just the frame. Like, I'd probably pay $200 for the frame, so another $200 for a drivetrain and like wheels. I could justify that, and these wheels are different too. So let me get through this. 9-speed drivetrain, which is kind of weird because it was stock 10-speed. So that means that either somebody had a 9-speed bike already set up, and maybe they just took all the parts off that bike and swapped it over to this frame. But it was weird because it has 105 drivetrain on it. So it has a 105 crankset and it has 105 rear derailleur, but then it has a Tiagra front derailleur. So it's very curious to me. It's not working 100%. It's still very smooth, but I have to deal with that. It's my own buy, so I just wanted to let you know my experience with it. So if you are looking for a Trek Madone secondhand and it's kind of like wonky, maybe be iffy about it and offer them a lower price on it. I should have offered him less just to see what he would take, because I got it for $400 and it was listed at $450. I might have been able to get it for like $350 if I was really hungry for it, but I figured, what the heck. I plan on replacing some of the parts anyways, and I'm not going to get away with too much from what, it has 105 three-piece crank up front, which is good. It has a 105 rear derailleur, and it has a 105 Ultegra shifter for the cassette, and then they replaced one of the shifters with like a flight deck Sora shifter. I don't know, just kind of weird, probably because the 3-speed drivetrain up here, they needed a different shifter than what it might have had or whatever. But great bike in my opinion. Even the way it's set up, I thought it was a great deal, so I just swooped on it. It was between this bike and a 2010 Scott Speedster S20, and I did a lot of research on that bike too, which it's a pretty good bike for the age, but I thought that for 4 years of updating, kind of worth it for the same price. It was listed at $350 and I paid $400 for this bike. Just the fact that this is a, you know, more modern frame set with, like, I'm pretty sure it has a tapered fork, and it has, you know, it's got aero framing, which is good. I could build a race bike out of this if I wanted to, and I don't see any accounts of people building race bikes out of this bike, but I think it's really fast, and it showed on my overall time. I got a 20 mile per hour average on a 10-mile loop, under 30 minutes, so take that for what you will. If anybody's watching who is a real cyclist, then let me know what you think about that. I don't have much training under my belt. I just have some background in endurance sports from high school, and maybe that translated over and just stuck with me. So I've been riding more consistently, but by no means have I been doing intervals or anything like that. Just doing more rides and getting up to that speed, which was my goal from the Specialized Allez. So I'm happy that I got to that 20 mile per hour on this without it being set up or without any changes. I was able to do it. So I'm assuming that once I get the cables all good and, you know, routed better and get it more set up aero and get it all cleaned up pretty much, I should be able to even push that further. And the biggest upgrade I'm going to do is put some deep dish wheels on here, so probably like 50 mil, and I think the bike would be fine with just those upgrades and maybe some aero bars. But you know, it's a great bike. The frame feels great, way more subtle than the 2006 Specialized Allez, which is kind of like their same model that they're releasing now in 2019. It has like a straight top tube and a carbon fork, so there's not much difference in the old Allez and the new Allez. So take that for what you will. I was riding about 17 mile per hour average over 20 miles on my Allez. I haven't done a 20 miler on this bike yet because I just got it and I still need to set it up, like I was saying, but I'm pushing for a 20 mile average on a 20 mile per hour average on a 20 mile ride, which will be really nice to see. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to again share my story with this new bike. I will be posting some videos on what I do to it and where it takes me. This bike was bought because I really wanted the Specialized Allez Sprint, and I still really would like that bike, but this is going to be a good trainer bike and get me into like a real road riding mentality and get me up to speed with like a group or like some high hitting pros, not pros, but high hitting locals, and maybe I could ride with them and get better because I know that I have the aptitude for it, and I think it'll be an interesting experience, and I want to share it with all the viewers out there. I know that this started as a mountain biking channel, always will be, and there's all sorts of different adventures that I do, so don't expect it to just be like straight road riding. I just wanted to share that with you, and you know, it's knowledge to help other people maybe in a similar situation. But again, hopefully you enjoyed that. Awesome bike in my opinion for the price that you might be able to find it. They'll probably be popping up on the used market more and more with the fact that it's caliper brake as opposed to disc, and they'll probably be real cheap, so be on the lookout. Hope you enjoyed the video again. Share it if you know somebody who has this bike and is interested in seeing like a person ride it. I don't know. Like this video, and don't forget to go out there and create your own adventure however you can. I'll spread some positivity, and I will see you later. Maybe I'll be doing some ride videos with this, and I'm definitely going to do a crit sometime soon, maybe in the fall, and that'll be a cool video. So see you later. Ta-da.